The following is a presentation of the St. Louis Chess Club. Players from 9 nations converge in St. Louis as USChessChamps.com presents the second annual Summer Chess Classic.
Hello and welcome back to the Summer Chess Classic here in St. Louis. We're very exciting day here today. As always, we're your hosts. I'm Caleb Denby. I'm joined by GM Jesse Kraai. And today is round 8 of the Summer Chess Classic. Of course, there are 10 rounds in this event, so we're entering the home stretch of this event. The standings near the top are getting very, very close. They've still been tight throughout the tournament. So we're looking forward to see the players, fight their hardest to try and make it to the number 1 spot. Why don't we actually take a look at the standings currently? In Group A, Liam Lee won his last round game, putting him in a tie for the lead with David Howell at a +1 score. Jeffrey Zhang, unfortunately, lost his leading position by losing his game to Liam Lee, so now he trails by a half point along with Sam Shankland, Gawain Jones, and Daro Swiertz rounds out the group with 2.5 points. And over in Group B, Grigori Operin maintains his lead with another win in the last round. He's a full point ahead of Hovhannes Gabuzian, who is at 4 points. Surya Ganguly used to be up near the top, but now he's in the middle of the pack after a rough couple of rounds at 3.5 points. He is joined with Sam Sevian, also at 3.5, both of them on an even score. Daniel Friedman and Igor Kovalenko round out the group with 2.5 points. Over in Group C, we have Arturs Nixons, another very impressive showing from him with 5 points out of 7 rounds. Dmitry Gordievsky seems to be the only man capable of catching him at this point, with 4.5. Alshon Muradiabadi and Aram Hakobian are both having very decent tournaments with a level score, and Brandon Jacobson unfortunately has fallen to -1, despite starting out with an early lead in this event. Christian Trilla continues his rather unfortunate tournament, only with 1.5 points out of the 7. So let's take a look and see what kind of format this tournament is for the players. There are 3 6-player double round robins, so those are those 3 groups we just took a look at. Of course, everyone plays everyone twice in the double round robin. So this being the latter half of the tournament, these players have all seen each other before, so they already kind of know a little bit of what to expect. The time control for the event is 90 minutes for the first 40 moves, and after move 40, they get an extra 30 minutes for the remainder of the game. There's a 30-second increment from move 1, and a 30-move draw rule is in effect, so no draws before move 30 except by repetition. And the schedule for this event. We are finally, after that rest day, it is round 8 today, Wednesday, so we just have 2 more rounds after today. Of course, those are tomorrow and Friday. And the times there are the start times for the players. The start time for the broadcast is going to be a little different. So there is, of course, a big tournament in Croatia, the leg of the Grand Chess Tour. So our broadcast will be starting a half hour after that broadcast finishes, both tomorrow and the day after. Here we see the tournament hall. The players are hard at work today, fighting it out to battle for those top positions. You can join them by following along with the games at USChessChamps.com. You can join us here on the commentary in YouTube. We'll be keeping an eye on that YouTube chat if you guys have any questions. And you can join us on Twitter as well, using the hashtag #SummerChessClassic. Well, Jesse, any thoughts on the games today before we jump into them?
I'd say it's the most exciting round so far. There's been a lot of exciting rounds, but this one has some very tense moments that we're about to jump into.
All right. Yeah. Well, let's just look at it then. The Group A pairings. We have David Howell playing against Liam Lee. Those two, of course, leading the tournament. Gawain Jones is playing against Daro Swiertz. And then our key matchup for the day is actually between Jeffrey Zhang and Sam Shankland. Both players a half point out of the lead, so they'll definitely be fighting now as we near the final rounds to catch up to those leaders. You see the players there, both kind of locked in concentration. It looks like it's Sam's move, and quite a few decisions to make here for both sides. What do you think of this game, Jesse?
Well, right, it's the critical moment, and the move he's calculating is knight takes e5 right now. And it's a little surprising maybe that he's taken so long to play, just because he's the one who set this madness in motion when Jeffrey here played f4. First of all, I think black is doing fine in this position after f4, and Sam now begins very concrete play. d4, you pretty much, if you don't take it, black's beautiful. He's going to play c5 next. So snip, and by the way, this pawn sacrifice, maybe later we'll review the game. There were several moments where this pawn sacrifice could have happened, and the positional notion is that you're taking the e4 pawn kind of out of the game by bypassing him. But there's more than just a positional notion now, because bishop e2, rook e1, and now the knight on d2 will be undefended. Sam's got his hand in the air.
Yeah, no, he was hovering over his piece.
And
well,
he instead played
yeah.
rook takes a3.
Queen, rather.
Queen takes a3.
So takes a different pawn rather than e5.
And by putting pressure on the rook, we're preventing rook takes e2. I feel like that wasn't his original intention. Because now, white at the very... Well, let me see. I was about to say that white could get out of dodge here. And maybe that's true. Like, for example, if white plays knight c4, it's hard to imagine that white is in any serious danger. So
is there some, I guess there's no intermezzos with like rook a1, and then there's a threat on the bishop. How does black respond to that?
Let's ask that question. Rook a1, and I think queen c5.
Ah.
Right,
Well,
so the
wait.
same. Oh no, you're
I'm
right.
confused,
You're right.
yeah.
Can't do that. Yeah.
I was thinking queen d3 might be the only option, but then I wasn't so sure about that position, because maybe the white rook can invade through a7.
What, queen takes
So something
d3?
like queen takes d3, bishop takes d3, and then rook a7. Is that anything to be concerned about?
Well, what's like if you had another move, what would your next move be?
I might play rook. I might try to evict that bishop, or I might just play knight b3 to a5 and put pressure on the c pawn. Maybe put my other rook on c1 and
I think black would have to be happy about this.
c5. Okay.
Right.
Well, maybe rook c1 then, and I can try to play knight c4. Okay, you're just going to push me back. Yeah, I guess this is fair to say. Maybe there's bishop f1, but then I already have to calculate things like c3 and bishop takes f1 and then c3.
Now, I was surprised by queen a3. Maybe Jeffrey was too. Let's just, okay, so let me just try to figure this out.
Sure.
Knight e5 was the move he wanted to do, I think. It just feels that way when you played, because he played bishop e2 first. Okay, so obviously queen e5, rook d2 is beautiful for black.
So is there some way to move the queen and defend the knight, and then both of black's pieces are hanging? Something like queen e3?
That's what he's dreaming about, right? So queen e3, and arguably the argument is we have absolutely nothing. That might be true. I would have to do something fancy like knight d3.
Yeah, you're giving up a lot though with these two pieces, right?
Well, let's just say
then?
queen e2, check.
Ah, this is your tricky idea.
I don't know how tricky it is, but it's
It's an idea.
yeah, and there's just things I don't know. As white, I'd be worried.
So I mean, as white, you always have a draw here, though, right? You can play king h1 and then king g1 and then.
Right. Well, let's say black always has the draw. Black always has the draw because black can go for it now with knight takes and queen takes.
Sure. So my thinking is maybe Sam thinks he has something to play for here. And so he didn't like maybe the look of knight takes c1, giving up those two pieces.
Maybe we're missing something else. It was definitely a pretty tense situation here. So,
what else is there? You can play like, I don't know, I think queen e3 might be it. What else can you do?
so if we assume that we're right, that this analysis where black...
So after knight d3, white does have maybe some options. You can play rook c3 maybe. That looks a little
But then knight
strange.
takes e1.
Knight e1, queen e2, and I want to say the knight's trapped.
No, but I got knight takes g2.
Knight takes g2. Oh, of course.
Right.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't...
Yeah, it's tough to say.
So anyways, I'm sure Sam looked at this, and this queen takes a3 like you pointed out, there's rook a1 and knight c4, and to me, as long as white has some way of just stabilizing the position, then the other position looked better.
Right.
But maybe I'm missing something, obviously, right? Okay. So we're going to keep a close eye on that. This game, by the way, not only for tournament standings, but both of these guys are vying to be, let's call it, the alternate on the U.S. men's team, and Sam is fighting to retain 2,700 status, and Jeffrey, for years now, has been struggling to make that last jump into the 2,700 club. So this is going to be an exciting game going forward.
Yeah, Jeffrey probably, if I were in his spot, I would definitely see Sam as sort of a rival, right? Sam's the last kind of American to make that jump from the 2,600s to the coveted 2,700s. So it's definitely a big game for Sam.
Yeah.
Why don't we take a look at what's going on in Group B?
Sure.
Let's see those pairings. So Daniel Friedman has already drawn his game against tournament leader Grigori Oprin. Gubuzian is paired against Kovalenko, and then our key matchup of the day is two of the followers, Sam Sevian against Surya Ganguly. Sam, the #1 seed going into this event, ran into some trouble yesterday after finally scoring his first win in round 6. So we see the players there with some romantic lighting, but definitely no romance in this game. It's cold-blooded stuff.
Well, it's funny, we have a lecture here at the club called Romantic Era Chess, and some people just mean crazy games when they do their lecture. This, though, would come into that rubric where this is the second game Sam has been white against a winnower, and I thought he had a beautiful position. Maybe we'll back it up just a second. So, let's see. Well, first let's introduce it. So we have our winnower. And here, there's many moves. Queen g7 or a3, let's call, is the main moves. So, takes. And this is I wasn't familiar with this move, but I looked it up in the database. It's definitely been played. When I was watching the game, it definitely seemed like Ganguly didn't know about this move. I think knight b6, bc6 is the most common move here. He took, and it's questionable if that bishop is actually well placed on c5.
I would have liked to keep the pin on the
Keep
knight.
the pin, right? So bishop d3 looks absolutely correct, and this way you're saying to black, I'm holding queen g7 over your head, and if you castle, I'm really going to start thinking about sacking on h7 with knight g5. So this is a difficult moment, and queen b6 didn't seem to help, because now knight h3 with the same ideas, but defending f2, knight d7. White has different moves here, f4, g6, bishop d2. This looked great for white. Bishop e3. It's a bummer because if white castles and gets to play knight a4, then that's just nice to steal the dark square bishop. But this is like we're losing Tempe and losing our good bishop.
Yeah, that's tough. I don't think that dark squared bishop from white definitely wasn't the most intimidating piece in his camp, and that dark squared bishop is always a great defender for black.
Right, and like I said, the bishop on c5, a little funny, and basically Ganguly said, well, I've got to get the bishop off the square for the knight. Okay, so here we come to, let's call it the tactical phase, and black has a very rough position. Ganguly plays h6. Sam says, all right, g4, bishop d7. And this, I thought, was a fascinating position. I was talking to Alejandro Ramirez, GM Alejandro Ramirez, about this, and we both felt like white was better, and especially because it's unclear what black's going to do next. Very unclear what he's going to do next. So moves, but unclear how to press the position. There's natural moves like rook e1, which seem like you've got to still be better when you play a move like that. Maybe even, rook e1, something like that is the natural way. Because black, he can't castle really either way.
Yeah, with positions like this, it's always interesting to me because from my mind, I'm always thinking about the pawn breaks. I'm thinking about stuff like f5, if there's any way I can make a pawn break work to open up the position. But Sam found a different way here, right? He used, instead of the pawns, his knight specifically.
Right, so he does this, and the threat which will be executed here is to play knight f7, and queen f6 to separate the king from his friends. And black had a couple moves. I think what he did seemed right, and we're going to kind of roll into the game continuation now. Queen b4, so we're putting pressure on f4. Knight f7 takes. And so you see the queen on b4 holds the e7 knight. Now we kick it, but the queen is centralized and strong. Snip here. And a very interesting position because now black's king has achieved some level of safety. The white knight isn't necessarily doing that much, and basically it's going to be hard for the white pieces to coordinate, especially not to lose the pawn on f4. So he went back. Black said, I'm just going to pin you. And the discoordination is real. Knight d1, queen f3, rook g1, rook f7. And I have no idea what's happening now.
Definitely a creative way to, kind of steal the activity from white there. Because, usually when you're sacrificing, you're doing it for activity and to get your pieces near the king. But in this case, Ganguly managed to take that sacrifice and in turn gave white the pawn.
Well,
but now black has all the activity.
Well, now he did your move. Now Sam said, all right.
It's time. All right.
And in a certain way, whether this is winning or whatever we decide to say about this f5 move, he kind of had to do it because the f4 pawn was just going to hang for free if he didn't. So
as black, your first instinct has to be, I want to take that guy.
Let's try it.
With the e pawn. And then with the bishop, I would assume, to defend g6. And what has white achieved with this pawn thrust?
I think Sam has to be real careful. So ef was played. And now Sam doesn't necessarily have to play gf. Let's see what his ideas are here.
In fact, gf might only serve to activate black's bishop.
But on the other hand, fg is coming too.
Yeah, I'd be tempted with queen d6 here. It seems to eye the g6 pawn as well as the e6 fork.
Let's put that on the board. So queen d6. And
it's a lot of threats to deal with from the black side.
Still, let's say I just bring this dude in.
Okay. So I'll take g6 with check. And I'll take h6.
And then I got some choices. But let's say that's the natural one.
So d4 seems very committal, right, to open up that diagonal for bishop f5. So I don't know if I'm ready to do that just yet. Is it too late to try to consolidate with a move like queen e3? Just hoping for a queen trade, and then I guess that endgame looks more or less level.
I have no idea. I have no idea. I'm sure. Okay, let's see.
Yeah.
Let's just check our variation here. So he needs definitely to do something like queen d6. And he's thinking, let's just look at it from his eyes, because he's got other, does he have anything else?
There is always kind of an idea to do things in the other order. So something like e6 immediately to try to take that file would come to my head, but I don't know if it's actually achieving much.
Because my rook will come to e8 pretty quick, right?
It'll come to e8. My idea was going to be bishop takes e6, I'll play rook e1, and then if you play rook e8, I'll double on the e file.
Oh, you know what? There's another problem with queen d6 that he's thinking about. So if I check...
I think king b1 is how I want to respond.
And then rook c8? c6, I mean?
This is a good way.
I mean, maybe you can... I think queen b8, I just go king h7.
Yeah, you seem relatively safe over there.
I thought if you were going to go down this road, you'd have to do this weird move, but it freaked me out.
c2. That would freak me out, too.
I'm worried about a couple things here, but I mean, maybe, maybe.
Yeah, it's just... White's knight on d1 isn't ever going to be of any help in these positions, I think, and that's probably a major problem.
Yeah. So, okay, that's one of the concerns about queen d6.
Well, queen d6, rook c8, maybe knight c3 is actually something you can consider. The idea is if you play rook c6, now I have... well, I guess I don't have queen d5.
No.
So the pen. It's quite difficult.
Yeah, it's a real funny thing where Sam went for it. And a lot of times this happens when you go for the attack and then all of a sudden your pieces are discoordinated and it's suddenly maybe black. The great positional maestro, Ganguly, who has managed to find a way to bring his pieces together. And I could tell by Sam's body language, he thought he was winning this. I kind of thought he was winning it too. And a lot of...
see Sam there.
It had to do... it's funny too. It's like... Let's see what he does. He played queen d4.
Yeah, that was an idea I was about to mention. So
Get out of here.
He wants to defend his d3 pawn so he can play rook f2. I was going to say it.
Okay.
There is also maybe perpetual ideas on the queen here.
Okay.
If Sam feels like he needs to bail out. Something like, for example, rook g3 and rook g1 in this position would be kind of a perpetual on that queen.
Okay, so I'm just going to, let's just show a variation. So the idea is if takes rook f2, queen h3, this is all of a sudden this is a huge initiative.
Yeah.
So, queen d4. Now, the threat is obviously rook f2.
Yeah, rook f2 and queen d5. And maybe g takes f. There's a lot of good things happening for white after rook f2.
Okay, and so we're claiming that rook c8 is nothing. That may or may not be true.
Well, it might help white play... I think knight c3 is a move white would like to play, now that the queen has the dark squares under control.
Well, remember, if you play knight c3, though, then there's no rook f2 after fg.
Yeah, that might be a problem.
But rook c8, king b1, and
Yeah.
you can just hold your same idea. Okay.
So what to do?
Yeah, that's a nice move. I feel like there's got to be a move here for black, but
So-
I also don't know yet what.
Can you just, perhaps bishop e6 might be a move? Just to defend that d pawn? It seems way too slow, right?
Because
Still rook
it
f2.
seems like I'm going to play, yeah, and then when I play gf, you're going to eventually have to.
Yeah, I want to
Well,
take
let's
that
try it
position.
out. So bishop e6, rook f2,
Queen h3 is
queen
forced.
h3. Now I can throw in this move, but maybe I don't want to because of queen h4. But anyways, so let's just see this one, and then so snip.
Maybe still bishop takes. I'm not sure if white ever made a serious threat, because if you take d5, I'll take on d3. Or maybe I'll check you and then take on d3.
Okay, so let's try this.
So, can we actually step back a couple moves here? I'm sorry. I want to throw in rook c8 check before I start moving my queen around, because then in this line I think it makes a huge difference, right?
And let's just note that on queen d3,
Yeah.
I was worried about that. Wait, no, not that one. What was I worried about here? No, I don't know, actually. Maybe you can't do this.
So yeah, and I wanted to throw in rook c8 so I could take this pawn with check here to make it a little more forcing even, right?
Okay, so but if that's the case, let's see if we can do better here for white. So bishop e6.
You almost have to start with rook f2, right? What else do you accomplish? I guess you could start with rook g3 instead.
I could also start with gf immediately,
Okay.
right? Because then I'm holding the pawn, and so let's say here.
Okay, I'll still play bishop takes. All right, I'll play rook c8 before it's too late, and then I'll play bishop takes. Because I want to have this move. I think it only improves my pieces. So I'll play rook c8. I'll play rook c8. Knight c3. e6. All right. I will move my rook since you attacked it. I will play rook e7. I don't know if rook g6 is your plan.
Now I still don't know what's going on. Maybe rook f8 or something.
Rook f8 or rook g7 even might be a better idea.
Or rook g7, yeah. And I don't know. You know, I'm just going to be honest. I have no idea. Like queen, you know, there's so much to look at. Like with rook g7, the danger is, can I do some weird queen f6 stuff still? But right. Okay,
well,
so
here
we are.
About there.
Here we are. That's a great game. That's definitely game of the day. And I think Black's, my gut is that Black's okay, but that queen d4 was at least a good move to put
a lot of complications
some pressure
on the board.
Yeah.
Why don't we take a look at the C group before it's too late and we get invested in Sam's game? So let's check out those pairings. Christian Schrilla is paired against Dmitry Gordievsky. Brandon Jacobson is paired against tournament leader Arturs Nixons. And then our key matchup for the day is Aram Hakobian playing against Elshan Muradiabadi. Both of these players having kind of up and down tournaments. Both of them actually scoring a win in round 5 and scoring a loss in round 6. So hopefully they get back on track today, and they have quite the interesting game to show us.
Yeah, it's been a real struggle, and it kind of seems like maybe White is just simply on top now.
I don't. Yeah, a lot of pieces.
Let's just see what happened
board,
here.
But.
So it went. Now we got queen takes e5. Well, White looks completely winning now, right?
I'm not a huge mathematician. But,
You're not a huge mathematician, but this looks pretty good.
3 pawns in front of White's king, and I don't know. You can maybe claim the H pawn is defending the black king, but not especially.
Yeah. So queen takes c6 happened, and then knight f4. I assume knight h4 was also possible.
I think there's just way too much space in front of black's king for him to survive this.
Right. Let's go back. This was a very interesting game.
Yeah.
You know, Elshan, almost every opening plays something a little bit provocative. I feel, and I've faced him, and it's like this kind of interesting thing where he gives you a little rope, and you think it's rope to hang him, but it's actually often rope to hang yourself. And so, with bishop e4, we get this interesting position where Elshan is now going to try to play on the light squares. And here I felt that White could play c4 and maybe have a small edge, but it's probably about roughly equal.
So I want to mention the highest rated player I've ever drawn. I actually played this, a line very similar to this, and I played c4, got rid of my only weakness, and then I still suffered in an endgame for 80 moves before he let me off the hook. But so yeah, if I can draw a GM in this position, or a position very much like this, I like Aram Hakobian's chances.
Well, Aram plays f3.
Ah, yeah.
And what it's this interesting thing where he's going to say, look, Elshan, you can have my c4 square. And
it's a lot to give.
am going to play e4 and say it's a big deal. So queen c8, e4, queen a6, queen c2, castles. And here is this interesting moment where Elshan is basically saying that this is so tough when you're playing a real game, I feel. He's saying bishop g5 fundamentally won't work because I'm just going to move the knight. So this is what happens, right? And he's saying, okay, look, buddy, if you ever play knight f4 to go after my only weak spot on d5, what will happen is I will have either f6, bishop h4, g5, forking the minors, or I'll have h6, bishop h4, g5. So Aram says, all right, let's do it. And an interesting thing about this to me was that in a certain respect, you could say that Jacobian was forced to play this way, because if he doesn't manage to get something here, he will just eventually be worse on the light squares. So he's got to go for it, and it looks like it went well. So now with h6, I think the problem was a little simpler than the game, which was queen f5, and I don't know, let's just say you protect the knight somehow. Worst case scenario, I can do this, and it seems like it should be mate, or at least very close to mate. So,
yeah, it takes a lot to play this, though, maybe.
but that's the thing. You don't have to, when you're forced into this variation, like Jacobian essentially was, like, then you just do it. Queen f5, and here was a big choice for Elshan. I was talking to GM Alejandro Ramirez, and we were looking at rook f7 here, and that also looked like a huge mess after just various moves after rook f7. In addition to queen d5, there's queen g4, but we didn't find anything totally concrete after rook f7.
There's still even bishop g5. Right? That would be the first move to
Bishop
jump out to my
g5,
mind.
though, you do activate the rook.
Okay. So you're playing rook g7, because then I can take on f7 with check.
Well, I can't do rook g7 because you'll play queen d5 and take c6.
That's what I meant, is take on d5 with check.
So I got to go here.
So king h8, I'll still take d5.
Yeah, and I better have a way to protect my business, huh?
Yeah, no, it's a lot of pawns.
But
for
I
white.
got rook
I don't-
f4,
Yeah, I'll take on c6. That's the one that I want.
and then I got to come back somehow with either c8 or something.
Yeah, I'll play just queen d6, and I don't think white is really risking much here, and I think the black king is pretty weak for him to survive this. Rook f6, I'll play queen b4, and I just want to play rook e1 next and get some pieces in there.
Fair enough. No, and this is what we looked at similar stuff. I think white might be able to do better than this, but
Okay.
we were looking at similar stuff, and we couldn't find anything concrete, even though it looks very dangerous for black. In the game, queen c8 didn't feel right, and so then it was check to the miserable king, and now a very nice move that white plays here that I'm going to guess Elshan didn't appreciate when he played queen c8, which is bring the rook in. You can take either piece, your choice, and when I come down here, I'm gonna kick your knight off of that square, and he sacks it on e5. But if you go away, let's say to a5, the bummer is rook e7, and then it's just going to be mate.
Yeah, that looks like checkmate to me.
So this maneuver, rook e1, rook e6, very strong. And after this sack,
95.
I think we need to
Can't
say
feel
that
right.
at least intuitively white is winning because the king is so much weaker.
And there's still just the same moves, right? Eventually a rook e7, or well, after rook c6, I guess rook c7.
Yeah, this is grim, right? Snip. This is how we end up finding ourselves into the game continuation. Knight f6, and now knight g6 is pretty brutal because if you play hg, I have this out. The pin, black is hoping that this pin is going to save him. So he plays king g7, snip, snip, knight f4, and I guess I'm going to say that that's lost. I like taking the pawn on h4. Why didn't he take the pawn on h4? It's maybe doesn't matter, but that looks...
Yeah,
I like taking
that looks
pawns.
fine to me.
I like taking pawns. So Elshan's thinking about it, and the bummer, I guess, is simple. Well, what can black survive? No, he cannot, but I guess that's what he's going to have to try, something like that.
I mean, this endgame is... I don't know if you can even call this a try in this endgame. Simply rook b1. You can't even defend the 7th rank, right? Because if rook c7, there's knight e6 check, forking the king and the rook. And
I just wanted to take that pawn on h4. Then I would have another one.
That's
Anyways,
fair enough.
So this is a really nice game today,
Yeah.
and you know, it kind of like shows how tactics and strategy are related, because when black pushes it and goes for it with this plan of with knight fd7, you know, playing on the light squares. I shouldn't even just say it's not just knight to fd7. It's all of the other moves where you're playing for the c4 square. It's like white says, well, you're going to get it, but you've discoordinated your pieces enough that all of a sudden, you know, it doesn't look like it's going to happen now, but by force, that black king is going to get opened up.
It's tough. It's a difficult line to play, I think. So why don't we take a look at what the players are playing for up near the top, now that we've seen a few of their games. And the prize fund for the A group is $40,000 in total, with first place getting $12,000, second with $9K, and third place was $7,000. The B group also has quite a bit of money in it. First place is $6,000, second place $5,000, and third place $4,000, with a total prize fund of $21,000. And finally, the C group. They are playing for first place prize of $4,000, second gets $3,000, and third place gets $2,500 for a total prize fund of $14,000. This is nearly, or I think is actually double what the prize funds were last year. So this tournament is growing, and there's a lot at stake here in all of these games for the players. Where do you want to jump to next, Jesse?
Let's go back to Group A. We'll look at Sam's game. We'll give an update there.
All right.
And so after queen takes a3, which we had before, white played rook c3. We assumed there was other moves there too. And now Sam found nothing better than this continuation, where arguably he's a little bit worse all of a sudden. So what happens? This, and it looks to me like we're just headed for a clean draw here.
Yeah. The e4 pawn not going to survive the day, it looks like.
Maybe black can make a little bit of a claim that if anyone's pressing, it's him.
Really? Just because of the weaknesses maybe after like g5? Is that what you're...
Right,
Yeah.
I would like to at least make you wonder about g5 and make you wonder about rook e2.
Rook e2.
No, but okay, it should be a draw. We're not.
be a draw,
So, maybe later when I see Sam later, I'm going to ask him about this move here, and what he didn't like about knight takes e5, because I thought that was his idea.
Right.
Yeah.
In that current position that we have,
Yeah.
Is there ever any danger to the black king after something like knight c6? Well, of course it's black to move.
Yeah, but go ahead.
So knight c6, then I want to play rook b8 check, and then knight e7. And maybe that f pawn somehow, if I can manage it, or maybe I'll play even knight g8 to f6.
Yeah, you get a lot of moves.
If you give me 7 moves, I'm going to checkmate you.
But remember, I'm going to play g5 at some point.
Okay.
Or at least I want to. You know,
Yeah.
so...
I guess even immediately g5 is something to worry about.
No, white's thinking now, like, do I go back for defense, or if I was going to make counterplay, I think it would be something like rook b7, knight c6, knight d8.
Go after the f pawn directly. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And the knight on c6 is reasonable anyway, because it'll help fend off against g5 stuff.
Right, with that extra defender for the e pawn.
Right.
So yeah, I think there's a lot of resources for white to at least be able to hold.
Yeah, no, I
against
that's what it
any
seems.
counterplay.
Okay, guys, I got to show you this other game that Gawain played today against Darrow.
All right.
And it's been a real interesting game where I'm just going to bring us to what I'm going to call the critical moment. Really interesting opening led us to here, but let's just start here. And black is under a little bit of pressure, right? But in this position, he makes like a big decision and takes on c3. All right, so when you play this, you've got to worry about a lot of things. You have to worry about a rook landing on c7. you have to worry about the immediate d5, and you've got to worry about the slow h4, h5.
Well, it's easy to see where all this time went.
Yeah, the real big grief. Actually, yeah, this is going to be an incredible time scramble coming up. And for one of the few times in history, Gawain Jones has more time than his opponent.
Mark it down for the history books. My goodness.
So when you imagine you've got all these moves to think about, Gawain plays Queen f4. And, you know, that's a move that you're probably not even going to guess. You're not going to guess is coming.
That one's almost a head scratcher for me. I guess he's controlling more dark squares with this move, but with so many immediate things that white could play, it's interesting that he chose this kind of slower move.
Well, let's just show a couple ideas maybe.
Yeah.
So if rook ac1, I think it's something like queen d2, and it's hard to move either rook. And then, you know, the queen might even come back to g5 as well. So that's the potential grief there.
Also, one benefit to queen f4 is controlling that d2 square.
Good. That's right. That's right. And if you do it this way, this is another possibility that I was looking at. And in this position, I believe after a move like bishop d5, I couldn't really find anything special, despite the fact that this looks so brilliant. Okay. Yeah. Then, of course, there was this move, and that's just a holy moly kind of thing, where the only me and Alejandro were looking at this too. So queen b4, rook e4 looks crushing, but then you play queen b5, and it's like, oh, maybe there isn't any body blow here.
It seems like a miracle if black can really get away with all of this.
And the idea is that the second you take here, then I'll play f5.
Right. And especially with the rook on e4, that'd be rather unfortunate with even the bishop on b7.
So these are some of the motivations behind queen c3, and I think positionally it's not a claim to say we're going to win a pawn and then win an endgame. It's like a claim that we're in a little bit of desperation, and I have to do something extraordinary to hold the position.
Yeah, queen c3 is never a move you want to make. It's never like, yes, I took a pawn. It's like, oh boy, all right.
So queen f4.
Put on your seatbelt.
Gotta block the bishop.
c3.
Rook ec1. Queen b4. Rook ab1. Now another great thing about queen f4 is by holding the c file, there's no like bishop b3, rook b3, and then rook ac8 business.
Of course, yeah.
So queen a3. That's a difficult move to find. Rook c3, snip, snip, queen a2. Again, the queen is doing this annoying dance with the rooks, preventing them from moving. Now, however, white says d5 and says,
now's the time.
oh, buddy. Daro, okay, wait, we got some moves. So d5 happened. Takes. Bishop d4. Queen e5 is the threat. And black played bishop c5. Now, we have to wonder, did Gawain blow it here?
Yeah, I'm wondering. Again, no mathematician, but 3 pawns to 6 pawns means white better have a whole lot of something here, or else, you know, he's got twice the number of pawns as him. Like it's.
Well, let's ask the first question. Can I do? Okay, I could play this move first, but I just want to say the idea is bishop f6.
Right. What to do after bishop f6?
Now, one good piece of news for you is you have the takes on f2 thing.
Right.
And in fact, I'm not threatening queen h6 yet. I am, though, threatening this, and then queen h6.
Maybe you should throw in rook b2 first, just to try to take away this bishop takes f2 option.
But right now, I think bishop f2 is a loser, because I take it, and the bishop on f6 is a bomb.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can't. I don't see anything else, really. Is there some
how
long
about this?
Maybe rook e8.
Now, one bummer here is I'll play rook e8.
Yeah.
And I go here, and there's no sack here, unfortunately, because I can take back with the bishop. Oh,
but
sorry,
can't I just
bro.
play queen c4?
How about
What's the problem?
Well, okay, let's look queen c4. Oh yeah, and then I just don't even have anything. Because let's just point out Queen H6, Bishop F8.
No, for some reason, like I thought Queen H6 was mate no matter what, but there is just this Bishop F8 move.
So Rook Fe8. Let's put that as like.
That's got to be try number 1.
Try number 1.
Oh my goodness. Okay, Queen H6 here. No, there's Queen. Okay, so there's the sacrifice, right? Queen H7, but there's Queen F2, unfortunately.
There's also Bishop H6.
There's Bishop H6. Nothing works. This idea is bogus. Okay.
So, but besides, okay,
I got really excited there.
that was a good thing. So besides this, though, there's a real earnest question of like, well, what else could White have besides Bishop F6? Oh my God, he took on C5.
Oh no, that can't be right.
And he needs something amazing now. Oh, this is.
You gotta.
Oh, Gawain, buddy.
That's so sad.
Oh, you were
That is
crushing
sad
it.
to see.
You were crushing it.
Oh man.
Okay, let's look at this for just a moment because it really fell apart there. So, Rook C3, it looked right. Let's just say it looked right. This was clever, though, Queen A2. And the idea of D5 was to bring the bishop back, but it it didn't do anything except trade the bishop off.
Maybe
if you're going to do H4, for example, you would do it now.
I want to maybe Rook takes B3 was the loser move here, because it allowed this queen to immobilize both those rooks like that.
What do you want to do?
Either A takes B3 or even taking it with the other rook might be something to consider.
Honestly, anything seems better than the game.
Well, yeah, I mean it's easy to say looking back, but
even this one he did. You would think that H4 now.
Yeah, this is something. But
Has
what if Black simply plays F6?
Right, but now we can claim there's a little. The queen is not next to her man, and we can claim something about that. Is it special? No, it's not that special.
Yeah, I'll just take it.
Or
you can have
rook,
one of my pawns.
or rook A8.
Rook A8 is a little more sensible, perhaps.
Oh man, what a bummer! I really felt in this position that Gawain was gonna. He's been playing so well this tournament. I've been rooting for him. I thought for sure he was gonna at least put some heavy juice on it, and he must. Let's just say he must have blundered something like maybe just the simple bishop c5 he blundered.
Yeah, I mean that move looks difficult to meet.
So in the game, White is saying, I have practical chances to draw. And maybe, how true is that? I'm down 3 pawns.
It's a lot. It's a lot of pawns. And there's ways now, very easy ways for the black queen to make its way back to into the position, right? Yeah, queen e4 is the most natural option. Just offering a queen trade and bringing back some defenders.
Yes, I guess we're going to have to say, this would be Daro's first win. He's played great, but he's really suffered amongst the geniuses in the crowd.
It's a very, very tough field.
So,
I do want to mention in this Group A that David Howell has drawn his game against Liam Lee. They're the 2 leaders, as well as Jeffrey Zhang has actually drawn his game against Sam Shanklin. Right. So no surprises there for us. So with this game heading towards maybe a win for Darius, that would leave Liam Lee and David Howell actually both tied for the lead going into the last 2 rounds.
Oh, Gawain, buddy.
And we see the players there.
Black's got plenty of time.
He's got plenty of... Oh, well, I don't know. 2 minutes is plenty of time for 13 moves. I guess in this position it might be.
You can do rook ac8 and you start playing c4 and stuff. No problem. So let me give a report in Group B. We have tournament leader Oparin drawing against Daniel Friedman.
Yes. Why don't we check back in with Sam?
Let's check in with Sam the Lesser. Sam Zevian. I should call him the Lesser. So let's go to where we had it before. It's Queen d4. We correctly predicted Bishop e6. Rook f2. And there were other moves there.
Yeah.
Snip, snip. Knight e3.
That's a move we hadn't looked at.
Check to the miserable king. And then over. Okay.
So d5 is not capturable, is not capturable.
Well, also g6 is capturable.
G6. Oh. Well, this can't. White must be doing quite well.
Okay, but let's think about it for a second.
I'm thinking.
On g6, I don't think it's going to be that strong. Let's say you give a check. You have to have something here, or else. Well, I guess you have several things here. Actually, you
Rook
could do.
F G2 maybe. Yeah. The end game after something like Rook F2 check looks just dead lost, right? That E pawn will just win the game. So I'm of course thinking about Rook F2 check, Rook takes F2, Rook takes F2 check, Queen takes F2, and then King takes G6 for the Queen endgame. But the pawn on E5 would be winning there.
So
So
let's
you
say
need
go
something
here
else.
for say the Queen D4 was a very nice move in a messy position. Snip, snip, knight E3, another nice move. Maybe even I'm not sure this check helped black actually.
I don't know. King D2 seems to help kind of consolidate,
Right.
protecting D3, protecting E3, freeing up some pieces. So knight takes F5 has not happened yet.
No,
but
it hasn't
That's something
happened.
we're looking at.
This is all forced though, right?
I think so, yeah. Rook G2, how do you prevent checkmate?
Now, just my instinct is that Rook F2 is losing, but let's check.
Yeah.
So here,
Surely it must be.
here, no, I can't do that.
No, you have to take F2, and then there's Queen F6 check, and then just E6 right away.
Something like that's going to be, yeah. Okay, so I don't know. That's the easy there, and like we said, there's maybe the option of taking on D5 at some point as well.
I don't know. I've seen enough after knight takes F5. I'd be ready to slam that move down. My opponent's got 5 minutes on the
think
clock.
about Queen takes D5. What do you do? What does Black do after that? It's kind of rough as well.
That too. I like having that D file closed though. I don't want that file in front of my king to be half open, but it looks winning. Everything looks winning here.
Okay, so
Sam is taking his time though.
let's take a look at this amazing Kovalenko game.
Sure.
I've had a chance to hang out with Igor a little bit, and we just analyzed a little bit. And he's a very passionate player, and so when I was watching the game today, we had this amazing opening that White played. Look at this opening. A3. This is the Gabuzian special.
Right.
Now, Black can do, of course, a number of things, and it seems like this should be good for Black. But check it out. Right away, Gabuzian kind of knew what he was doing here, and then Queen C2, Queen E7, G4.
Wow.
And Kovalenko, you could see his body language. The guy was squirming. He was really squirming in this position.
Who wouldn't after G4? My goodness.
Look at this. Now, Bishop G2, castles. Now, normal people here would play Knight takes E4. Check it out, though. Boom. Knight takes E4 might have even been stronger, but H4 was more evil. So we got this. Snip, snip. And I was looking at this, and it was hard for me to understand it. Like, I felt like White was definitely better, but how much better was unclear to me. So it became very critical right away with B6, D4 takes, and here there was an interesting question mark of how strong is F3?
I'm going to go somewhere between really strong and very strong. I don't know. It looks pretty good, right?
So there was that chance, and let's just, I don't know. The problem, of course, is you're killing your G2 bishop.
Yeah. But
And
the upsides are
Something
nothing
like
to
this,
laugh at,
right?
right? You can take H6 maybe and stick that king on F2. You're preparing something like E4 perhaps.
well, first you'll take this pawn somehow.
Yeah. I'll take with the pawn, I think. I like that it keeps your D pawn a little bit in check.
You got to wonder about bishop A6.
Yeah, I wanted to play E4.
Well, this was a position that he's maybe no. That position actually is kind of spooky. Watch, because now I'm starting to get like checks and weird stuff happening.
Yeah, I like it better with my king on f2 maybe.
Anyways, this was the other choice that he had here, and I'm sure he contemplated this. He chose the positional route, and unclear now. Now the knight will get to go back to f6 unmolested. So now we just have a regular-ish game.
Okay.
And white clearly thinks he's much better here. Is it true? I don't know. Let's look. He just wants to do it the positional style. And here,
He's got bishops, but this doesn't look like too much to me, right?
he can always say that the d5 pawn is making the bishop, is blunting the bishop on g2.
Right.
So we get this business.
F3 is played anyways eventually.
Yeah. And it looks like, what, black is holding on. This is the mess we got. Oh, man. Some of these moves, I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know. The bishop maneuvers to c7 for some reason. Yeah, I guess white's just putting it all on the a-pawn. Putting it all on the a-pawn. But with the light squared bishop, you would think black can at least hold the a8 square. I don't know if... maybe a7 is his plan, and then bishop b8. And you can kind of claim that your bishop is keeping that rook in check. Is that something that white can try here? That would be my instinct.
Yeah, that's what he's thinking about. I have to say, let's just talk about this position. There were moves earlier on. I have no idea what was going on there. And here, black is wondering about king takes h4.
So king h4.
If he can't play king takes h4,
Yeah.
it's a little bit of a bummer. But
Well,
on king h4, you got to
can't,
wonder
right?
about
Your rook
check.
rook h1 and bishop f4.
I don't know how dangerous this is, though. I can play king f5.
I can check you again.
Yeah.
Let's see. Running out of checks. If nothing else, I can play bishop takes h6 here. Just pick up the pawn.
Okay, but when we go to this position, I'm not sure, if you dream about winning the position, you do want to do something like your a7 business, and then you want to have some plan after that. You don't...
Here's maybe one idea. What if you take h4 and I play a7? What's your next move? Because I might be threatening to play bishop d8.
Bishop d8, I can sack the exchange, and you actually might want to worry about that.
Yeah. Okay.
So h5, for example.
h5. Is there any more favorable way I can do this? Like bishop f4, you might play g3?
Well, that or just take on f4 immediately. But g3, sure.
Interesting. I don't know. Those two kingside pawns definitely look a little intimidating.
So, okay, he did not play king takes h4.
Really?
Let's
looks
go
natural.
back to the game. And he played rook g6 instead. And he's immolated his king a little bit. The claim, I guess, is that if you go back to g3, which is the natural move, that he's got some notion about how to defend this thing.
I don't know. This would be more of a last resort, in my opinion, than... So he must have seen something he didn't like after king takes h4, because it's the much more natural way to try and hold this, or even try to win this, is getting those two kingside pawns, and then claiming that they're worth whatever white can drum up with the a pawn and the bishop.
Let's see if we can find it. So here...
So, what was wrong with this line where we just checked and eventually played bishop takes h6?
Nothing necessarily wrong with it. It didn't seem like it was crushing black, though.
Well, I want to take off the h-pawn, and then I want to say maybe I have time to just bring my pieces back and make the same threats with my a-pawn. I'll still play a7, I'll still play bishop f4, and I'll still play bishop b8, and try to make something work.
But imagine you're black. You have the choice between this position and this position. What do you take?
That is a tough question you posed.
That's why I'm wondering. He must have felt like there was something else more dastardly here. Maybe bishop f4 immediately.
Yeah, I was thinking still g3.
So, check to the miserable king.
Run away.
And now either one of the rooks to g1. It's not that impressive.
I don't
even
know.
if
Either rook to g1. Maybe I can
you
force the sacrifice and take your bishop, and then just h5,
you
h4.
know, but look, if I do this rook, you just take this thing. This is not the end of the world for me. I'm out of there. I'm out of there.
But yeah, I almost like for an advantage for black. Rook takes f4 in that position.
Okay, but black obviously didn't think.
Yeah.
So king h4.
What is the problem?
Let's try this a7 move again.
Okay.
Now, I was most concerned with h5, but there's, g3 is another move you could do.
Play g3. Could I also play rook f8, just to stop bishop d8 and say I have plenty of time?
The thing about it though, this rook is terrible. So if I could sacrifice it for this bishop and that pawn, well, hallelujah.
Yeah, that's a fair plan.
Right? That's something I would like to do. So let's try that one.
h5 is natural.
Let's just see if I'm wrong. So snip, a8. I'm going to say I feel good. I feel great about life, I think.
Yeah, the bishop comes to g4, and black is...
There might be some weirdness with, like, rook here, and then king g4.
So,
I might have to worry about it.
It looks like we have a result. It looks like those two pawns made it up the board in Gawain Jones's game.
Oh, Gawain, buddy. Sorry about that.
That looks like a win for Darrow to me. That definitely looks like a win.
Oh, yeah, let's show that the two pawns.
Yeah. Turns out two pawns, they can be worth a lot once they make it down the board.
Man, it's such a bummer. Yeah. This is the fate of the attacking player, though. If you're going to go for it, sometimes you trust your intuition, and then you miss a move or misevaluate a move like bishop c5, and then you realize you're just toast. Bummer.
The word devastating seems like it might fit here. This game has to hurt with white. You feel like you have something there, and then you find it in you to go for it, and that is one of the worst backfires that I've seen.
And here we have Sam also won his game.
Yeah, like we said, that e-pawn did tell the tale, although they reached a slightly different endgame than we were looking at.
Let's look. I was similar though, 93, and then he did take. So we got all that right.
Yeah, we got rook g2, right?
Rook f4.
Rook f4.
Check. Snip.
Yeah, this is a nice idea. Of course, the queen cannot be captured.
This is
immediately for black.
Totally toast.
Yeah, do you want to show that checkmate?
Sure.
So queen takes f4 is working.
Queen takes f4. Rook f4. This is when you go on chess.com and do Puzzle Rush.
Yes.
You get this thing. Yeah.
Checkmate to the miserable king.
So very nice game by Sam. Very nice game.
Yeah, I think that one was well played.
So we're still waiting here on this game with Gabuzian and Kovalenko. I don't understand rook g6. They've reached time controls though, so that's no big deal. Oh my God, what is going on? Okay, we haven't talked about Gordievsky and the Count.
Oh
now,
boy!
If Gordievsky wins this
goodness.
game, he would catch. He would catch Nixons.
Catch Arturs.
And Arturs has kind of been taken easy the last couple rounds with 2 draws.
Yeah, so this is the key game kind of in the C group here. If Dmitry manages to win this position, which I would hate to have to even play, much less win. Then yeah, he catches the tournament leader with just 2 rounds to go after this. But what?
So just
what
optically,
is,
what do you think? You have a sense optically what's going on here?
optically, White's got a lot of pieces around his king, aimed at Black's king, and Black has a random knight on b3, a random rook on c8, and I think White's pieces make more sense, honestly.
Okay. I have no idea what's going on. The let's just say he did take on f2, and now Black could do a number of things, but I wasn't sure what White was going to do next, regardless of whatever Black did.
Okay. What if I play e5 and say that I am attacking your queen? I am attacking your queen.
And say, I'm attacking your queen.
Yes.
Okay. Fair enough. That is one of the questions that the Count is now asking himself now.
Well, while you're taking a look at this, we actually have Darrow here after his big win against Gawain Jones,
yeah.
and he's going to come in for an interview, so I'll be stepping out of the studio.
All right. Yeah, so let's think, while we're waiting for that, let's just imagine e5. It's kind of a weird move because, okay, we're in deep time pressure, so anything can happen here. But if you were worried about, like, e5 and then f6, you could play rook e8 now. So let's just look at this e5 business. And what are you going to do? Queen f7? I'm really worried about the simple f6. And it looks really difficult to do anything after that. So e5 just played. Yeah. And we're about to talk to Darrow Schwiertz. And we're going to catch up with the other games when we come back. All right. So we have Darrow here in the studio, and we're going to pick up on this game. Darrow, where would you like to start?
Since beginning, I guess.
Okay.
Lately my main opening on first e4 is usually e5, against some Rui Lopez or Italian, depends what White is doing. But okay, I'm -2, so I thought I might as well try to play something more aggressive, because what's the point of making a draw?
Right.
To try to win. So I decided to play like Sicilian that I used to play for many years. I still play. So yeah, can I move on this board or here or?
Yeah, here you can use this mouse if you like.
Oh, here, sure. How was that pressed?
You just click on a move.
Oh, the
or,
move.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I decided to play second e6, which also normally is not a line I normally play, because I would go for knight off. But e6, I saw that he plays either Alapin or he rarely goes for open Sicilian, so I thought it could be a good way to kind of surprise him and get some playable position. So yeah, knight f6, e5, knight d5, knight c4 is like a line, bishop cd, d4, bishop e7, rook castle, and now he surprised me with taking on d6. I wasn't sure whether to take with queen or bishop, because I saw some of his games against Fiedler, and it was very similar, but it was way different because knight was on c6 already. Here is knight on b8, which gives me additional options, I thought, during the game. So that's why I thought to take with the queen, and comparing to the position to the game with Fiedler, I have additional ideas. For example, knight c3, bc, and now b6, for example, with idea knight d7, knight f6 at some point.
Sure.
So this was my point.
So
I'm not sure if b6 was the best move though, because I allowed knight e5, which is I saw it, but I wouldn't be sure it's like so dangerous for me. Maybe knight d7 was more accurate. I don't know.
Yeah, I was thinking about so just to be clear, in the other game that he had, he played in this position knight c3 here.
No. He played rook e. I mean, it was instead of castle, it was knight c6.
I see.
Instead of castle, it was knight c6. Where is the mouse? Is it freeze? Here it was knight c6, ed, queen takes d6, rook e1 or knight c3, I don't remember, castle, rook e1, knight c3, I don't remember the order, rook d8, a3, and this was, I mean, it's kind of
Got it.
normal position, but
Right,
like
right,
I wanted
right.
to get something else. That's why I
Mhm.
wanted to postpone developing knight from b8 to c6 because I wanted to keep more options. And by taking here, also it's interesting maybe to play rook e1s because if I want to play knight c6, then ed queen takes d6 transposes back to Fiedler's game.
Sure.
So yeah, maybe this was the way to play. But okay, this surprised me a little bit. Okay, knight c3. I thought okay, I can go up to knight c6, which is normal. But
Mhm.
I wanted to get this position with b6, which is okay. Maybe I want to play bishop a6. I wasn't sure. Maybe knight d7 is more accurate as I said earlier. I don't know. It's difficult to say. It's probably no games in this position already. So yeah, knight d5, knight c6, bishop f4, knight d5, bishop e5, queen c6, all kind of normal. And now I thought that he would play either bishop d3 or bishop e2. Bishop b3 surprised me. It's a very strong move. Because okay, after knight bishop can I move?
Sure.
Yes, bishop d3. I planned bishop b7, queen queen g4, simply g6, and sorry, not g6. I have additional option here, f6. This is the point. But with bishop on b3, I don't have this option.
Right.
So and that's why bishop b3. And if bishop e2, I go just bishop c6, bishop e3, queen d7 is a completely equal position. I'm fine. So.
Right.
Okay, bishop b3 he played, bishop b7, queen g4, g6, rook f. Yeah, I mean, the bishop b7 is not only move, but I basically playing after bishop b3 I had to calculate by very long lines. Basically, I had to calculate that after bishop b7, rook queen g4, g6, rook f e1, that I have to take on c3.
Yeah, we thought that was insane.
Well, I know it's very risky, but at the board I couldn't refute it. And objectively, I thought that the best way for the game to proceed was d5, queen b4, queen takes b4, bishop takes b4, de, bishop e1, take. Oh, he can postpone taking actually. He can take here first. Rook e8, for example, and if takes, it should be draw somehow. Let's say f4, bishop c8. F4 is taking. So I saw such lines while playing bishop b7 already, which is why I like fought for a long time there. But okay, queen b4, and here okay, like the white have some other options. But the thing is that I always have this defensive idea, like for example, which was also later in the game, like queen h3, let's say, queen bishop here, queen h6 and f6, which is like basically cutting the entire attack.
Right.
So yeah, queen takes c3, and well, he spent here lots of long time, and okay, also there is d5, queen b4, rook e4, I thought, but queen c5, and I wasn't sure what's next for white, because you know, like there is pawn on d5 hanging, there is no clear way how to attack. I don't see mate yet, and I always have this f6 move, so I thought that white may be taking like excessive risk, which was kind of after queen c3. I was a little bit hoping that he will start pushing, like over pushing, because it looks very promising, but there is no kind of clear way. I didn't see at least. How to get like very
so you
aggressive
did this
position.
and you said to yourself, I don't see a refutation, so I'm just going to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
exactly.
good.
But basically, but the main line I had to calculate was queen b4 because d5 is like
It
the
looks-
most
yeah,
is very dangerous. But queen b4 is very forcing and basically attack the queen, hit on the queen, and like I don't know, he has to either take or move somewhere here. But then if he moves, I just simply take an f6. So that's the point, and it's not so easy to kind of refute this idea. So here he played queen f4, which is very interesting. But I thought it's not correct. I'm not sure. Maybe it's winning. I don't know. But I always have this after. For example, I played bishop. Also, bishop d5 is not only move, but I was so confused here because I had, for example, another move g5, which was interesting.
Holy moly.
And after queen g4, just queen d3. And I come back here, and where is the attack? I'm just pawn up, and okay, he has a compensation, but like there is no mate. Because of course his idea is queen h6. I had to prevent it. Either bishop d5 or g5. So, but I wasn't sure about this position. It's kind of like compensation, like because my king is kind of weak. So I decided to play. Okay, bishop d5 was my first thought. Okay, just go for it. Bishop queen h6 always f6. I was wondering if he found some mate here. That's why I was double checking myself, triple checking myself, but like I couldn't see anything. So because he spent like half an hour there, and he played this, then he played rook c1 very quickly, I'm not sure if this is the best move. I mean, I don't know.
It doesn't feel right because
It doesn't feel right, at least, because he's taking his pieces out of I was expecting some maybe rook, I don't know, AD1, then rook, then I take on b3. No, this is stupid. Maybe some rook here, queen b4, and some rook e3, something like this maybe.
Yeah.
This is something like. But then I have some ideas, queen d2 maybe. I don't know.
Right.
Which
Or-
is not so clear at all.
Rook d1? I don't know.
Ah, yeah, sorry. Yeah, queen d2, rook d1. Yeah, so rook e3. But I can. There is no threat, right? There is maybe rook h3 threat, but still I can
You might
simply
be able
go
to play
f6.
yeah, you
I
might
can-
be able to.
exactly. I may play just f6.
Yeah.
And there is no follow-up basically for white. So.
And this
yeah.
is one of the drawbacks of queen f4 is that f6
Yes.
suddenly becomes this big monster.
Yeah, that's true.
Let me ask, what about, if we go back to this decision
This?
on move 18, what about just like a human move like h4? What do you think about that position?
Unclear.
Unclear, okay. That was just, I don't know, the instinct. That we were looking at this with your coach. With your
Yeah.
coach in the other room, we were very surprised with queen c3, but I guess it works. Yeah, it's provocative.
It's very provocative. Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to the restroom and I was thinking to myself, okay, it's at least provocative, and I don't see refutation, so let's just see what happens.
Right. Okay, good.
So yeah, play queen f4. Okay, I'm bishop d5. This, yeah. Queen b2 was also possible. I'm not sure which one is better, but I wanted to keep this bishop protected
Sure.
in any case.
Yeah.
But anyway, like for example with this, okay, this is. But I saw some lines like. Yeah, like for example this, a3 for example. No, a3 queen b2. This doesn't bring anything because this doesn't lead anywhere. So. Yeah, like if he takes some rook c7 looks very interesting, but like it's just f6 and I don't see what's next. It could be just winning for black suddenly, because these pieces are lacking coordination here. I'm not sure, but like that's what I thought during the game. So yeah, I don't know. He played rook ab1, which is logical. Queen a3, rook c3, and at first I thought to play here f6. But then I suddenly realized that maybe I get super tricky with some weird move like queen e3.
Yeah, that's fun.
And like some total mess going on. I don't know what's that. Possibly I can just simply take. But takes, okay, some... Possibly, I mean, I should be fine, but some bishop d6 move. Okay, I will be pawn up, but it's kind of like still unclear.
Right.
Which is weird. I mean, some weird lines. But then I thought, okay, why just not to take? Because, for example, if he goes, this is what happened. This is my entire defensive idea here. Let's say bishop h3, rook h3, f6, queen h6, rook f7, nothing. That's it.
Right.
So if he doesn't have any mating ideas here, that's just winning for black because I've just collect the pawn. And, like if I'm 2 pawns up and there is no continuation of the attack, and
Yeah, it seems like if he's going to do this, he should play h4 now. or at some point earlier.
but if sorry, not
F6,
f5,
right.
f6.
And at least in time pressure after bishop d6, you can keep playing.
Yeah, possibly it was a better. Yeah, but actually maybe because f6 is kind of like automatic move, but maybe I can play first some rook a d8. But
Maybe.
but
Then
also I have ideas of queen c2, maybe, and queen f5.
No, of course you should be. There should be more than one
Yes,
way for you
yes,
to win.
yes.
It's just in the game. It was so weird the way.
Yeah, but I
like,
think queen
yeah.
c2 is very precise because I basically activate my queen and
Yeah,
back
yeah.
defense, and I can think of any like problem here. Maybe h5, queen f5, this. But rook, whenever rook is over, this is good.
That guy's
so that's it. I feel.
Yeah, it was all these rook moves, and actually
Yes.
they didn't lead to anything. They
Yeah.
just led to the rook sitting on the B file. Like
Yeah.
they were doing. They were more active before.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Basically, this queen is very active and kind of ties them up. Yeah. So okay, so he played d5, which is kind of like last
Last gasp.
yeah. has tried to confuse things. Bishop d4, and okay, for bishop c5 is just completely winning, I think, because
Yeah,
if with bishop f6, I simply can go rook e8, because there is I hit on f2, so he doesn't have. Also, I'm not sure if
Rook
this rook.
f8.
Also, rook f8 is
Then
also
bishop
winning.
f8.
Also,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But if he goes this, I can go either rook as well, because if this is queen f2,
Sure. Yeah,
just wins because like, everything is hanging. Suddenly, I have perfect coordination with my queen on e2. Yeah, so he
Okay.
took, okay, and the rest is kind of like, okay, I just played queen c2 to put my queen back to the game, rook b7, logical, queen e4, queen c7, okay, and here I just started pushing my pawns. And the rest, I think it's straightforward, because I simply push all my pawns and he can stop them.
Well, congratulations, great game. It must feel good
Yeah.
after
Well,
having
yeah.
a tough tournament.
Yeah, especially after missing wins against, like yesterday I was completely winning against David Howell.
Uh-huh.
What else I was winning? I had huge advantage against Jeffrey, and what else? I mean, almost all my white games were like with huge advantages or like nearly winning positions. So.
Okay, well, congratulations, and we're going to get Sam Sevian in to talk about his very eventful win, and good luck good luck with the rest of the tournament.
Thank you very much.
All right. So while we're getting Sam set up, I'll just roll through some of the other games to see what's going on here. And all draws except for Darrow's win in Group A. And then in Group B, Ganguly, as we saw, lost, and Igor is still playing against Gabuzian in this position, which I didn't understand after Rook G6. Bishop G3, Rook A7. He gets another chance at A7, G3, E4. I'm just going to admit I don't understand. So, what is the idea of E4? Oh, the idea of E4 is to, if you take, there's going to be drama with Rook C5 check. I guess. I guess that's what's going on. So we have a tight endgame going on there. The Count looks like he's doing better against Gordievsky, but it's a bit of a mess. And here we have Sam, and then Elshon and Jacobian drew. Wait, I don't know how that happened. That can't be true. We're gonna have to talk. We're gonna talk about this game after our interview with Sam. Maybe Sam will help us understand. So we're here with Sam Sevian, who had a very nice game today. We're gonna talk about it here. Okay. Winnower, take it away, Sam. Where should we start?
Yeah, so it kind of surprised me a little bit with the French. And I played is this how?
I think you have to grab this.
And I played slightly rear line with DC5.
And he seemed like he hadn't seen that before.
Yeah,
or something
that's what
like
it felt like, yeah.
Right.
So he played Bishop C5, which I wasn't sure about. I spent some time here. I thought I have a nice move knight a4, getting his bishop.
Right.
But then I noticed that he has h5. If I play queen g7, rook g8, and move the queen somewhere, he plays queen a5 check. And now I have to go back and he plays d4 and I lose a piece.
Okay, yeah.
And if I play, if I play after h5, queen h4, he plays queen a5 check. And initially I thought bishop d2 and I'm just winning.
Right.
But then I noticed double deflection, bishop takes f2.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah. So this was kind of annoying, and I decided to just develop with bishop d3.
It seemed like the bishop is misplaced on c5.
Yeah, it could be misplaced on c5, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially because I always have knight a4 ideas.
Right.
So he played queen b6. Here I considered this coffee house idea with knight f3. Bishop takes f2, king e2. And then I want to play rook f1, knight g5, and just go for a crushing attack. But after bishop c5, it's not as easy as I first thought.
But knight h3, it's doing all the same things
yeah,
anyway.
True. The only problem with knight h3 is it doesn't really support the e5 pawn. But I do play f4. So I didn't like knight d7 actually. I think he should have played knight bc6. Black's main idea is if white doesn't play f4 and tries to castle immediately with bishop d2, black has a nice defense. Knight takes e5, queen takes g7, knight takes d3, c takes d3, bishop d4. And yeah. So therefore I played f4. Therefore I think I should play f4.
Right.
And the difference with the knight on c6 and d7 is that from c6 the knight can play, he can play knight b4 in some positions and get rid of this annoying bishop on d3.
Right.
Like for example, he can play knight g6, and if I play bishop d2, maybe he can play knight b4. So that's an idea black has.
Okay.
He played knight d7, f4. Here I was pretty much happy because now I get bishop d2, long castle, and my d3 bishop won't be attacked. So he went g6, bishop d2. He played bishop e3. I think knight f5 is an interesting alternative here. The idea is if I play knight a4, queen c7, knight takes c5, knight takes c5. Yes, his dark squares are really weak, but he does want to take on d3. And if I take on f5, he has this monster knight coming to e4.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Meanwhile, my knight on h3 isn't as good.
It does seem weird, like he's playing bishop e3 so that his knight can come to c5.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
So
yeah,
he
it
could
felt
have
like a bad omen for him.
Bishop e3 I think is an inaccuracy, for sure. So long castle takes, knight c5, queen h4. Basically, I'm not letting him play bishop d7 long castle because I'm putting pressure
I mean,
on
your
the knight.
position looked great.
Yeah, I really like white here. Another idea I have is to play queen f6. For example, if bishop d7, I play queen f6. And if he plays rook f8, I have a nice idea, knight g5, attacking h7. If knight g8, I always have queen g7, and if he plays h6, I go knight h7, rook g8, and now I slide back and my knight comes to f6. So black's in big trouble. So he played h6. Here white has a boatload of plans pretty much. I mean, knight f2, knight g4 is an idea. I can play for g4, f5. But the thing is, black has ideas too. He wants to play bishop d7, and then either d4, or rook c8 and try to maybe put some pressure on the c file. So I can't be too slow. One line I was looking at was knight f2.
Okay.
And knight takes d3, rook takes d3, and knight f5. I have to play queen f6 because my knight will be hanging. He castles. And what I didn't like is that after I move my knight here, he plays queen d8 and trades queens. Now white will be better in the endgame, of course, but it's not that easy. Yeah. So I went g4, playing for f5. He played bishop d7.
I thought this was your big moment here in this position.
Yeah, this is a very critical position because rook f1 is very natural with the idea of f5, as is queen f6. But the thing I didn't like about rook f1 was that he plays d4, and now if I play knight e4, which is what I do after d4 in other positions, he takes knight takes and plays queen a6, and that's a nasty fork.
Right. So maybe rook e1 instead of rook f1.
Well, the reason I play rook f1 is to support f5, because if I play f5, he will take, and he will take on d3, and then he will take on f5, and I want to put the rook on f1 so I can sacrifice an f5 here.
Right, but like, let's say, I don't know, there's a bunch of moves you can do here. It was probably one of the reasons it was hard. But I was just wondering, like, what is he even going to do after rook e1?
Rook e1, okay. Okay, so rook c8.
And of course, like, the problem with rook c8 is now he really isn't going to
Yeah, his
castle.
king's stuck in the center. Yeah.
So let's say natural king b1.
King b1. Maybe knight a6, even though it looks weird. I want to take on c3. And I don't really want to play moves like knight e2 or knight d1.
Right.
But I actually might have to here. So do you want to move the knight or play king e1?
I don't know. This would be hard to. I mean, knight a6, I would be encouraged by, though. That would just feel good. But some kind of knight move, yeah. One of those. Pick.
I mean, if this h3 knight's on b3, it's close to winning, of course.
Right.
But here he has some ideas on the queen side.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I thought it was just like with bishop d7. It felt like, okay, the guy can't barely move, and then this is like, oh man, Then you just threw it all in the fire.
I went for this knight g5 takes f7 idea.
And I imagine this is really hard to calculate because he's got loads of. He could play queen d8. He ends up finding this move, which was pretty good.
Yeah, very
Pretty
interesting
good move,
move.
right?
So queen d8 I think is the critical move.
Mm-hmm.
And here white has some ideas. One idea is to play rook f1 and play for f5. But one line that I wasn't sure about was knight c6.
Right.
So the idea is to take on e5.
Yeah. Man.
And really complicated position it occurs after knight d5, king f8.
Oh man.
Now I can play either queen h3 or knight d6. The thing I didn't like about knight d6 was black plays king g7, and if I play knight d takes f7, he plays h takes g5.
Wow.
So I actually might end up losing material.
Wow.
And now I have to play queen knight f3, but
Then
I don't really
alive.
want to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I probably should play king f8, queen h3, but then I was calculating knight takes e5. Actually, knight takes d3 check first, because if I take with the queen, he's still pinned. He'll take my knight, basically.
right.
Yeah. So I have to take with the rook. Now he takes knight takes e5. If I play f takes e5, he plays queen takes g5 check, and then he picks up my other knight on b5.
With
Yes. So f takes e5. I'm sorry. So I have to play knight takes e6, only move. He plays bishop takes e6, f takes e5. And I wasn't sure how to evaluate this position because after queen g5, he puts the king on g7, and kind of, material's kind of getting off.
Maybe he's okay.
So, therefore, after queen d8, I may have to play simple with queen h3. And then if he goes knight c6, I go knight f3. And then my knight now supporting e5, it's much easier to get f5 in. This is why I like the knight on f3. If he goes back to b6, I believe I can play f5 here. He probably should take and castle along. Yeah, this maybe isn't the best though.
Yeah, hard to say who's better, right?
Yeah.
Because
No, I think white's better because of all the pressure on the king side, but maybe this isn't the most accurate way to play it. So I still think queen d8 was the best move, which gives white many options, including king b1, by the way. The idea is to meet knight 6 with knight b5 again, but then knight takes e3 doesn't come with check. So I can play knight d6, so it's kind of a deep move. And if he plays rook c8, then I play rook f1. So I would probably play king b1 or knight f3.
okay.
Yeah. So he went for more the sharper line with queen b4. Of course, I could continue with rook f1, which was my initial plan, but then I noticed that after rook c8, a3, knight takes d3, rook takes d3, queen c5. He's not threatening d4, but he has d4 in the air, and he's definitely threatening bishop b5 because of the pin on the c file. If I play knight takes f7 here, he plays king takes f7, queen f6 check, king g8, b4,
Oh my god.
and now black plays queen c7. Queen takes e7 and rook h7. Very complicated position.
Right, we see this coordination in the game too.
Very similar. Except now my pawn is on b4 and my king is weaker, so I decided to go for the immediate knight takes f7 to avoid this b4 move.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And the reason I'm avoiding it is, of course, which he did, knight takes d3, c takes d3, king f7, queen f6, king g8, a3. If he plays queen c5, now I have d4.
Very nice. Okay. Yeah.
So he plays the only move, queen d4. By the way, if he starts with, after knight takes f7, king takes f7, queen f6 check, king g8, I can play a3, but I have an extra option of playing bishop takes g6, takes, king f8, and it looks like he's made it after rook f1, f5.
Wow. Okay.
So therefore he went for this knight takes d3. And we got the position after queen d4. Queen takes e7, rook h7. So I've won a pawn, but my attack is kind of gone now, and he's going to play rook f7, rook f8, and put pressure on the f4 pawn.
Yeah, at this point, I wasn't sure. I wasn't entirely sure who was better anymore. You know, it was really.
Yeah, I think White has to play some accurate moves because if I play natural Queen F6, Black plays Rook G7, and now Rook F8 is coming with tempo.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is not good. There's just one thing if I could go back.
Sure.
I'm interested in. If I go Rook F1 instead of Knight takes F7, play it slow. Rook C8, A3, Knight takes E3, Rook takes E3, Queen C5. I'm thinking instead of going for like brute force Knight takes F7, I can make a slower move.
Maybe Rook D2.
Rook D2 or Rook F2. That's what I'm thinking. Maybe you're right. Rook D2.
It just scared me with the Rook on F2.
yeah. Too many angry pieces. Rook D2. Yeah, you know, I'm actually playing for F5 now. This is interesting.
Well, not only that, but like his king is like it's just.
Yeah, it's just stuck in the middle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so this was an interesting alternative. Anyways, Knight takes F7.
I think in that position you're also threatening a Knight E4 at some point too.
Oh yes, I wanted to mention that too. After Rook D2, White has a nice idea of playing Knight E4.
Right.
And then all these dark squares,
Right.
Knight just jumps in. Yeah, that's a nice idea.
And it's nice that he can't go Queen C4, B5 to hit your Rook, because then Knight D6.
Yeah. So Knight takes F7. Okay, now we got this forced line. Check A3, Queen D4, Queen E7, Rook H7, Queen B4, the correct move. And he definitely should keep queens on the board.
Right.
Because if he trades queens and starts putting pressure, White easily stops this and plays Knight E2. And I have the dream endgame with an extra pawn.
Right.
So he plays Queen E3. And this is a really critical moment in the game. I had to calculate many lines. I have Knight D1, I can take on B7, which is very risky. I have F5. F5 was my first instinct. The point is, I want to open up the king side, obviously.
Sure.
Just line, obviously it's a bad move, but if he takes and plays, no, if he takes twice, I play Knight takes D5, Queen E5, Rook G1, King H8, Rook E2, and I'm mating him on the diagonal.
Oh wow. He can't throw on Rook
He
C8?
can't throw in. Yeah, I just noticed that.
That was a nice idea, though.
Yeah. Okay, Knight F4, that's a crushing move. With Knight G6. Yeah.
Huh, all right, yeah.
Yeah, so he can't really play GF5. The move I didn't like was Rook C8. So he's threatening to play D4. These pins are really annoying because, I don't know, I can't play King D1, I can't play King C2. And if I play FG, Rook G7, D4, that might be a good idea.
Maybe Bishop E8 now.
Bishop E8. That's a nice move.
The French players agree.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, when that comes to G6, I might get mated. I need to play really concrete here. Queen D6.
Bishop G6 still, right?
Well, then I take the rook on c.
Oh, you're taking the rook.
But the problem with
Whereas-
Queen D6, the rook takes C3, I think.
Yeah, that looks right.
Takes.
Still, Rook C2, right?
Rook C2, check. No,
No.
both moves are. I guess this is even better. Yeah, then pick up the rook somehow. Yeah, this is not good for it. Yeah, nice Bishop E8. So yeah, this is why I didn't like it. Rook C8, and then it's not really clear how to continue here. The second move I was considering was Rook F1. Now Black can play Rook F7 or continue the game with Rook C8, and Black has some initiative with D4. So I took concrete measures here with Knight D1. Black must play Queen F3. He can always throw in Rook C8 check.
Sure.
Yeah. So the key position is after Queen F3, Rook G1. And now either he can play Rook F8 or Rook F7.
Right.
He chose Rook F7.
And I was very impressed by your next move here, because we were looking at it and it was real hard. It was real hard to understand here.
Yeah, so the point why I play F5 is, well, first of all, I want to open up the lines on the king side and not just give F4 for nothing.
I guess I should say it wasn't F5 that impressed me, but
Yeah.
then F5, then Queen D4.
Queen D4, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Queen D4
Yeah.
was an amazing
Just
move.
one important line I have to show.
Yeah.
If I take, he plays Rook C8, King B1, and plays Queen takes F4. Initially, I thought Rook F2 is winning when I first played Knight D1, but then I started calculating both Rook C1 check and Queen C1 check. If Rook C1 check, King A2, then he has to sacrifice the Queen for 2 rooks. And I guess I get the pawn on A7. He goes like Rook G2. I think White's better, but it's definitely not easy. The rooks are very active.
Right. Oh, man.
And the second line, which was even more complicated in my opinion, is Queen C1, King, Rook takes F2, Knight takes F2, Queen takes G1, Queen takes D7, Rook F8 takes, and now suddenly, King G7. Now
And your knight's
my knight
bored.
has nowhere to go.
Yeah.
And just a nice line, I was calculating Queen D7 check,
Right.
and now he has to go back, because if he goes Rook F7, my pawn queens. Yeah, no, it takes Queen, and White's better.
Sure.
Yeah, but I wasn't sure about the 2 rooks position, so I didn't go for this.
Okay.
I mean, there's so many interesting lines with Rook F8, but I'll stick to Rook F7. So I went F5,
Uh-huh.
EF, and now Queen D4. So the idea is to try trapping the Queen with Rook F2 and Knight E3. No, not trapping the Queen, but start attacking with Rook F2 and
Yeah.
then Knight E3, all my pieces.
Yeah, no, that was a great move. I didn't see that coming. That
Mhm.
was great.
The reason I played Queen D4 was if I go Queen D6,
Right?
he goes Rook G7.
Oh, interesting. We were looking at Rook E8.
Rook E8. I looked at Rook A2, but I think here I take Rook G7.
Yeah.
I take this,
And then FG.
then FG.
And then at least I wasn't certain what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
Your move is probably better, though. You have to.
Yeah, because here I'm up a pawn. I can play like Rook E1 and
Right.
stay solid.
Uh-huh.
The point of Rook G7 is if I play like E6, he goes Bishop C6, and the position is completely crazy. Rook C8 maybe. So
I
many,
see. Right.
So many options, yeah. So I went Queen D4. I really like this move. I want to play Rook F2, GF, Knight E3. Get all the pieces into the attack. For example, if FG, Rook F2, Queen H3, Queen takes D5. It looks very strong.
Right, or even Rook F7.
Yeah, or
first,
Rook
right?
F7 first. I believe the best move here is F4. The idea is, it's kind of a strange move, but it kind of closes my
Yeah,
G
it
rook.
closes you down. Yeah.
So I have to play Rook F2, Queen H3, and this position was a critical moment. That's why I was spending so much time.
So maybe if he's going to do that, he should check first on C8
But, like,
before F4,
before F4?
just so that your king can't come to D2 later, right?
Actually, in the game variation, he should give check first. In this variation, this isn't very helpful for black because now I take Queen takes D5. And if he plays Bishop C6,
Okay.
very sharp. I just noticed an idea, that's why I'm thinking Queen B3, black goes Bishop E4, taking advantage of this pin,
Yeah.
and white takes advantage of my pin on this file.
Wow.
And I think white's winning, yeah. This looks winning for white. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
But in general, yeah, he has to play something like F4.
Yeah, he has to play F4, Rook F2, Queen H3. Now, if I go Knight C3, at least he can play the endgame down a pawn.
That's
and
why you didn't want to give the check.
Yeah, that's why I didn't want to give the check.
Right,
Yes.
right, okay.
Because of Knight C3, Queen E3, yeah. And here, takes, here, check, King D1, King E6, takes. Okay, black's down a pawn, but there's definitely a fighting chance.
Sure,
Here.
yeah.
F4, Rook F2, Queen H3. I think I would play Queen takes D5. Now, if Bishop C6 again, Queen B3 or Queen C4. And if Rook E8, I was thinking about Queen E4. Note that if I play Rook takes F4, black plays Bishop E6. And the second reason I didn't want to give check was here I have Queen B5, black has the intermezzo Rook C8. So that's why I didn't want to give check earlier, to keep this check open. And after Bishop E6, if Queen E4, rook takes g3, queen takes d3, queen takes f4, sorry, and queen takes d3. And my king is now open.
Yeah, we might. Yeah.
Mhm. Therefore, I want to start with queen e4, attacking g6, and then knight c3, or maybe take the pawn on f4. So I think this was his best chance. After bishop e6, I was really happy. Now I go rook f2. Now if he gives check, I just go to d2.
Yeah,
everywhere.
right.
I'll explain why.
Oh, that's why you're saying if he's going to go bishop e6, he should check
He
first.
should check first. Let's actually look at that. So if queen d4, rook c8 check, king b1, bishop e6. Now I go rook f2, queen h3. G takes f5, bishop takes f5. So first I want to say the main difference. With my king on b1, black has, after knight e3, a brilliant move, rook c4.
Wow.
And if knight takes c4, queen takes d3. Queen takes d3, bishop takes d3, and he picks up my rook.
Very nice.
And if I play queen takes d5, which I initially thought wins, he has queen takes e3, and my rooks are hanging. And if I take on f5, he takes on g1 with check, really annoying. So rook c4 is the idea. Yeah, that looks good. So that's why he should give check first. Rook f2, queen h3. But maybe I play something different here. For example, I may play gf5, bishop f5. Instead of knight e3, which allows rook c4, I will play rook g3. Black will have to play queen h5. And now either knight e3, which allows this position, rook takes g6, king h8, which is very complicated, or I think knight c3 is the best move here. Yeah, this is, I think, the way white has to play. And now my king is very safe, at least. I can put it on a2, and I have
But
position like
he
this.
can also now play bishop e6, though.
He can, yeah. And I was thinking this move.
Okay, pure madness.
Sure.
Maybe g5 or something, I don't
G5,
know.
h4 is a problem.
Okay. Our
Yeah,
boss
okay.
is saying we got to wrap it up.
All right, so
Boss
now I'll
is
just
saying we
show you.
got to wrap it up. Okay,
Yeah,
let's
it's
roll
crazy
through the
position,
game
yeah.
here.
So bishop e6, all right. What did I do?
Maybe we could just go
Yeah.
with the buttons
So, okay, rook f2, queen h3, takes. Oh, where's the mount? Okay, knight e3, now rook c8 check, and again, this is basically his trap. If king b1, rook c4 is the key
here.
defense.
That's a nice one.
Yeah, so king d2. Here white is close to winning. I want to play knight takes f5, knight takes d5.
Sure.
Rook g3 is an idea, but he found a resourceful defense. I just want to show what his idea was. He played rook cf8. Now, initially I wanted to play rook g3, queen h5, knight takes d5, which is very logical. I want to play knight takes f6. But then I noticed he has bishop takes d3. Crazy. Now, if knight f6 check, he sacrifices exchange, goes back to f5, and my king is still stuck in the center. He's going to try stuff like this. And a very funny line, which is not funny for me. I was thinking I can play rook takes f7 first.
Yeah.
Queen takes... No, here I saw queen e2 check, queen c2 check. So I want to win the bishop if he ever recaptures. But
Right.
now it's a forced checkmate. Check, check, and queen c6 mate. So things could go wrong
buddy.
if I make
Yeah.
one mistake. So probably I should play knight f6 check and play this complicated position. But then luckily I found this move,
Yeah,
knight
that
takes
was
f5.
much simpler.
Yes,
Much
it's
simpler.
simple.
Yeah.
The simple move allows king h7, by the way. He had a trick here. Here I was planning to take queen takes d5, and if he plays rook takes f5, probably just chop f7, chop e7, then chop f7,
Should be winning.
yeah, and go back rook f2,
Yeah.
and I'll play rook e1 and push the pawns. So he played rook takes f5, and now the conclusion, rook g6, king h7, rook fg2. Now my attack is just too strong. I want to play rook g7, e6. If he plays rook g5, I'll take, and play queen takes d5. And if he plays rook f2 check, which is somewhat important, takes, king g6. Now, this is the first instinct, right? But then he takes and plays d4, and whoops, we lose d5 pawn.
Yeah.
Yep. So instead here I was calculating queen f6 check, king
Sure.
h5, e6, queen takes h2, king c3, queen c7 check, king b3, and my king hides on a2, and the queen and pawn
Right.
will win the game.
Wow. very impressive.
So he has to play rook f4. I played rook g7 check, king h8, and I found the simplest, I think. Takes. If
Sure.
he takes, it's checkmate.
Yeah.
So he has to take on g2. Takes. Now white has e6 probably wins easily as well, but king e3. Now black has hard time stopping the pawn. If you go back, I'll just put the king.
Sure,
The king is
right.
cut, very easy win. And if you play rook a4, I play e6, rook a6, and rook g6. And next move is e7.
Nice trick.
Yes. King h7, e7, game over. So he played rook h4. I played e6, d4, king d2, and the rook can't stop the pawn. If
Yeah.
rook h3, e7, rook e3, rook e2 with the one pawn in game.
Very nice, Sammy. Very nice. Yeah. So, yeah, well, I guess we're going to wrap it up here. What do you got?
+1.
+1. That's a good result. This tournament is still wide open here.
Yeah.
Wide open. Yeah. All right. Wish you luck the rest of the tournament. That was a beautiful game. I mean, I'm sure when you turn on the computer, it'll say that both of you were terrible, but that was
Yes,
a
very
beautiful human game. All right. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we're going to wrap it up here. We're going to give a couple announcements and talk about some of the events coming up. And actually, let's just see, do I have time? Is there any notable news that I should say before we come back? Igor is still playing on, and it's totally unclear what's happening. The rook on 8 is trapped as predicted, but the g-pawn and the h-pawn are free. They are free to roam down in the countryside. The count looks like he's in trouble, at first glance anyway. The count got a piece for his troubles, though. He at least has a piece for his troubles, so the game isn't necessarily over. And as we said before, Elshan somehow drew that game, which seems unfair to Jacobian because, I don't know, we don't even know how that happened. I wanted him to take that pawn on h4 earlier. That's all I know.
All right, yeah,
what to say.
crazy stuff. So let's actually just jump right into the standings and see where we are leaving off today. Group A, all the games have actually completed. So Liam Lee and David Howell still top the leaderboard with their 4.5 score. Following them still closely are Jeffrey Zhang and Sam Shankland. Gawain Jones actually lost his game today against Darrow, so now they are tied, just a full point behind the leaders. So really a tight group in the A group this year. Let's take a look at the B group. So this is the C group. We'll take a look at that. So Artur's Nixon's game is still in action, I think, against Brandon Jacobson. He is still leading the group by a half point. Of course, Dmitry Gordievsky is trying to catch him, but we think that Christian Trilla has very, very good chances to win against Gordievsky. So this might spell the end of the tournament for Artur's Nixons. He might actually just clinch it here with maybe a draw. Although I guess clinch it is pretty strong to say, but he'll have very, very good chances to win if Gordievsky doesn't manage to score a draw in this round. Let's take a look at the B group. Grigory Operin is leading by a full point with 5.5 points. Sam Sevian now is trying to catch him with a strong win today, putting him back at +1 overall. Hovannes Gabuzian's game is still pending, so depending on that result, Grigory Operin might have 2 chasers, but definitely a good position to be in coming into these last 2 rounds. With those standings in mind, let's actually look at some exciting upcoming broadcasts we have. Croatia has actually already begun, so if you were around this morning, you saw round 1 coverage of the world's best players in Croatia with a wonderful commentary team here in St. Louis guiding you through it. It starts tomorrow, the broadcast starts tomorrow morning, I believe at 9:30 a.m. or somewhere around there, so if you're up early, you can have a very, very full day of chess. Once again, after Croatia ends, if the games run long, our broadcast will come on just a half hour after that broadcast ends, or at 3:30 if the games allow. After Croatia, we actually have the U.S. Junior Championship, the U.S. Girls Junior Championship, and the U.S. Senior Championship for the very first time here in St. Louis. Those tournaments all start July 10th. Keep an eye out for Brandon Jacobson from the C group of this event, who will be competing in that U.S. Junior Championship. Well, Jesse, any final thoughts on today's games, today's rounds?
It's been a beautiful round. It was a beautiful day for chess. I also spent the morning looking at the Croatia games, and let's just say these guys are geniuses, but Magnus is at the top,
Yeah.
and it's looking like a different level of chess going on over there.
Yeah, crazy
So,
stuff.
we look forward to the games tomorrow.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. Of course, my name is Caleb Denby. I was joined by GM Jesse Kraai, and we will see you tomorrow with more action from the Summer Chess Classic.
This has been a presentation of the St. Louis Chess Club.